the journal will reject your paper. So write about the general trend of changing. Mention only the most important thing in this table. Don't repeat everything. Don't talk about everything in the table. Of course, you need not to use tables and figures to show one result. Choose the most stable one. The type with it will be easier to understand. It will serve you better. Choose even or tables or figures. You can choose the two kinds of them to show the results of one thing. If I don't want to repeat my numbers from the table, what should I do? In this case, you can replace it with percentage of increasing and decreasing, for example. I can say, for example, if I'm talking about a height of planet, it was in the control 30 centimeter, and then I get a planet height of 60 centimeter in some treatment. I can say that I had an increase of 100%. In this way, I can express my results without repeating my numbers. Then, after finishing writing your ideas, whatever you want to talk about, the most important things in the table, start to relate and join your ideas, to give them a logic order and to give them, to make them easy to understand and to make them more professional. Why easy to understand? Because this paper will be published. So not only professors will go through it. It might be a reference for students. Make it easy to understand and more professional. Please, the next slide, Dr. Yes, after finishing my results, I should go through materials and methods, or the methodology of my research. Why? Because the same thing, I can memorize it very easily. Actually, in this period, I prefer of our scholars and students try to write notes about how did they go through that work, how did they do that and that. Try to write down some notes. You will find it very helpful when you are starting to write the materials and methods. It's considered the most important part of the research. Why? Because if I use wrong methods, wrong equations, I will get wrong results. So my paper will be rejected. When the reviewer go through your materials and methods and find some wrongs in it, he can't trust your results, so he will reject your paper. In this part or paragraph, I need to describe the method I used. I should put it in understandable ways, and the most important here that anyone will read my paper, can repeat my work and get a similar results. After it, please choose the journal before writing. Why? As the example on the right, we can see the materials and methods was written in one paragraph. The figure below it, there was subtitles under the materials and methods. So go through the style of the journal you want to content. So you will save your time. You will not have to rewrite them in the future. It will be easier for you to know the style of your journal you are contenting with. Of course, we can use tables and figures in the materials and methods. For example, I am working on some kind of soil. I need to share its characteristics with you because it's very needed. It's very helpful to understand the whole research. It is better to put them in a table instead of writing them as a text. I can also use figures, so it's up to you, but use the most understandable and the most easy way to express your work. After it, please, Professor. I have here some notes to get an excellent materials and methods paragraph. Please use the standard methods. Don't create your own methods. There are standard methods for everything, and that's why I recommend you to read the whole paper. You will discover new methods. You can choose the most suitable one to your work. No, the previous one? Yes. I also need to look for the newest methods and the most advanced. For example, when we are trying to write about uh, soil pollution of heavy metals, it is recommended to use the atomic absorption, not any other way, because it's more reliable. So the reviewer will trust my results. Please find the most and newest methods of your work. Also use references you searched for to collect information. That's why we was talking about read the whole paper. You will find something new. You will find some advanced methods, maybe you know a standard method, and then they improve it. You will get all this information from your references. When I want to put a method for something, I need to get the original reference of the method. For example, I found some equation in a reference, but it's not linked to him. I need to look for his references and find the original reference for the method. After it, I should mention the statistical design of my project, the statistical design of my research. In this paragraph, I need to write about the type of design, what type of design I used, what treatment I used, what I really did. And here there is the most important part, the replication. Please make sure before start working that you have the replication, the right number of replication, so your trial can be analyzed. For example, some students make trials of 2 replications. It's not right. With 2 replication, you will not get your numbers analyzed. You can get through the differences between your treatments, and you will not get a better view of the significant and insignificant differences between your treatments. The last part of the materials and methods, the last paragraph you will see in the paper, is the statistical analysis. That's what we was talking about. I need to write what type of statistical analysis I used, what program, what the version of this program. If I use additional things, I need also to mention it. For example, in the picture on the right, I can see Duncan letters. Duncan letters can help me and help the reviewer to understand the significant differences between treatments. So it will be easier for them to understand it. When I use it, I need to mention it in the statistical analysis paragraph. This is the next, Professor. After finishing the materials and methods, I will go to the introduction. Actually, the introduction structure should follow some orders. Why is the introduction is so important? Because it is the first thing the reviewer will read after the abstract. So the aim of the introduction is to convince the reviewer or the reader, whoever he was, to show the importance of this paper, to attract him to complete the reading of my paper. So we are trying to build it by writing the known information about the topic of the research. I told him about, for example, the previous studies, what they discovered, what they reported about this topic. And then I can move to the new thing this study will add. If they studied this thing, why should I study it again? Because I'm trying to add something new. I mentioned the previous studies, then I move to the new thing this study will add. After this, I can write something called the objective of the study. I can tell them. So the objective of the study, or the aim, or the aims of this study, is to study that and that and that and group this. Why should I do this? Because I need to show them the importance of this study. So after the objective, I will go to the importance of the study in the future. Maybe I can mention that if I prove this or accomplish this, it will open a new doors in this study or in this domain. It will give new opportunities. For example, I was writing a research about potato tolerance to water stress. By applying some treatments, I proved that even dry areas can grow potatoes. So it wasn't available before, but after this study, it will be available. So I need to show the importance of this study to the future of science. After this, so after that, I give my ideas and logic order. And this order, as we mentioned before, should be from the old to the new, from the simple to the complicated. This is very interesting and very helpful. After the introduction, I will go to the abstract. Actually, the abstract very important because it is the first paragraph of my paper. A lot of researchers are just reading the abstract, maybe go through the whole paper and maybe not. We are also having some cases when the reference are not available. You need to pay for it. So some people try to get as much information from the abstract. It's very important. So most of our researchers also, as I said, decide and depend on the abstract after reading it, if they will complete or continue reading it or not. So try to make it as professional as you can. Here we need to mention two types of abstract. We have the detailed abstract, which is very long, and a short one. Most of our journals prefer an abstract from 100 to 300 words. In average, it's about 150. So please check the style of the journal you want to contact before writing your abstract. But in general, we can say that a good abstract should continue 6 paragraphs or 6 main ideas. As we said before, the background of the trial or the research, then the time and the place, the statistical design, the treatments, the most unique results, and finally the importance of this result. The next slide, please. After writing my abstract, I will move to the discussion, which is the final big picture of my research. It usually consists of 3 to 6 paragraphs. I have to write an attractive story in the discussion section. How can I do this? I should write my results in some way where I can find the relation between them, and then write about the write about them in some interesting way to read, in logic to understand, easy to understand. For example, if I was working about some fertilizer treatments, sorry for the agricultural example, but if I was doing some about fertilizer treatment, I found that these treatments improve the foliar part of the planet, and it's also increase its productivity. I need to start talking about the foliar part and then relate it to the increase in the productivity. It's more logic, more helpful, more interesting to be read. Of course, in this part, I need to discuss the founds of the previous studies with my founds or with my results. Who was agree and who disagree? And if there are some foundings disagree with my results, I need to mention why. Maybe because they use different methods, maybe because they was working the same work but in a different climate area, a different soil, a different. I need to mention why they was disagree with my results. After that, I need to mention or to put my results in its right place. How is that? For example, when I was talking about the findings of the previous studies, I can say that the literature review or the previous studies found that and that and that. But in my results, it was different or it was the same. So I need to put my results between the previous results of the study and the future science. It is in the middle. So in this way, I can relate them together I can mention the importance of my study. I put the first findings, then my findings, and how can be benefit for the future of science. I need to mention one more thing in discussion. Some people maybe have unique results, but they are afraid of it. So please mention your unique results and unpredicted results. Find some possible solutions, some possible explanation, but don't hide them, because it maybe be an unique thing, something others also looking for. It's not a problem, it's something good, but to try to find a good explanation for it. The next slide, please. The conclusion actually is the last paragraph you will find in a research paper, in a published paper. What I mean by conclusion is one paragraph will contain everything. It is the last thing I will write, and it should contain everything in a very simple way. For example, it's only a small paragraph. The first sentence will be talking about the importance of the study. The second, I need to mention my unique and most important results. After it, another sentence about the possible application, the possible uses for my results. And if I couldn't achieve something in this research because of the lack of facilities, I need to mention it in this paragraph. After this, I need to mention its benefit in the future of science, and I need to ask questions or to open new doors in this research. For example, I need to mention that this part should be also studied in the future, or I can say that my treatments, if we can apply it on another field, it also could make a good result. So I need to mention the new things, or the open a new doors for another researches related to my topic. After the conclusion, please. I here will repeat the order of writing. It is very important, the order of writing. It will be easier for you. It will be very helpful to finish your writing in a very short time. So as we said before, the order of writing, the first I collect my data, I analyze it, I collect my reference, start writing my results. After that, I can move to the materials and methods, the introduction, discussion, the abstract. After putting my abstract, I can change a good title, putting the authors, and finally I can put the references. Of course, I didn't speak about references because it's very well known, but every journal uses specific type or style of citation. So you need to look for this style before contacting the journal, and try to follow their guidelines, the author guidelines. It's very explained. One more thing to mention, what tenses to use while writing? Actually, we use two main tenses, the simple past and the simple present when we are writing in English. We use the simple past to end action and studies, and we use the simple present for describing my results, describing my tables and my figures. We can use the passive voice only for methodology, only in the materials and methods paragraph, because we don't know who really did that. Is it the author? Someone helped him? But the passive voice are not very recommended. You can use it only in the methodology. After it, please. Yes, Professor,
Yeah.
I think it is the last slide, right?
Okay, it may be the last slide, and therefore it's going for it.
Yes. Thanks for listening. I hope it was helpful for whom trying to start their work, start their writing. I'm ready to answer any question.
Yes, it's